It's not perfect. Another MR2 gearbox. Final drive. We should have a gear set somewhere. Come on, Kez. Gear set. What we've got here is an MR2 UK gearbox, number 5, let's call it. What we've got here is a gear set from a JDM and a final drive from a JDM. We're going to make them one today. So if you know the story from last year, you'll know I broke my gearbox on track at Brands Hatch. So that was a JDM kind of hybrid UK gearbox, and it lasted all season but then had problems at Brands, as everyone knows about by now. If not, here's a clip. But yeah, since then I raced on the UK spec gearbox, which has slightly longer ratios. It was okay, lasted all right, but I want to have the JDM gear ratios again. So what we've got here, a UK spec box, we've got some JDM gears out of a SMT gearbox and the final drive from it as well. I'm going to make it into one. Now I did plan to do a fresh box build rather than making some kind of hybrid muck as we're doing now, let's say. So we're going to be reusing all the bearings and everything. And the reason we're going to do that is I really struggled to get hold of any new bearings. I'm not going too far into it, but let's just say it was becoming quite a pain in the arse to try and get some new bearings for the diff and stuff. So in the end, it made more sense just to get another gearbox. So this is a fresh, well, as fresh as they come these days. It's come from a scrapyard, so you know they've just cut the hoses off. I've got a free slave cylinder, which is nice. Although the clutch fork is missing. Don't know where that's gone. We've got a free engine mount, another one at the back as well. We've got some free shift cable bushers and linkages and washers. I've never seen these washers before, so that's nice to see. I don't know if you can see them. Got some nice little washers on there. But yeah, this is a straight 5-speed from a UK car. We're going to give it a quick clean first, and then we're going to get these gears in. We're going to have a real happy day. So let me just give this a clean and a quick strip down first, and then I'll pick things up and try and take you along for what must be my 4th or 5th Toyota C-Series gearbox teardown and rebuild. But I'm going to try and do it all in today. I can't see my watch because it's under a glove, but we've got about 4 hours or so free today, so hopefully that's enough time to get all this done. But yeah, step one, I'm just going to give this a clean down, all the excess kind of loose dirt so it doesn't go in the box when we pull it down. We'll cover them up so that we're not getting them dirty, and then we'll have a real good time. So obviously we don't know what we're going to find in this gearbox yet. It's come from a scrapyard. Could be anything hiding. We'll have to have a good look. We're not using the gears, so the synchros and everything should be all right in the box that we've got. The main thing that we need to be good here is bearings and diff. And diff bearings, because that was the main thing that I couldn't purchase. Okay, they don't feel very good. That one's alright. That one's alright, it's just this one. Yeah, just corrosion. She's all good. Ooh. Yeah, there's been a bit of water resting. Can you see that? Been a bit of water resting on top of the housing. So, never seen corrosion there before, that's strange. The chance this gearbox, so the car it came from, might have been stood for quite a while. That's most loose things off anyway. Before we take the shift mechanism out, we should give it a good brush down and a blow over with the air gun. So I'll go and do that. You stay there. Alright, I don't know if you can tell, but that's a lot cleaner now. Trying to get too much dust in it when we strip it. I'm going to try and save the drive shaft seals if I can as well. On this side, We've still got the inner CV cup. These are a pain to remove, so I can understand why the scrapyard man didn't want to remove that. We can't just knock it through either from this side because it's a limited slip diff, so it has a plate in between the two drive shafts, so we have to hit it out this way. That really doesn't want to come out, but we'll not be able to split the casing without it off. Just need to get one big blow, but this way if I can. Well, that's the first problem. There's a little compression ring which we need to break loose. Let's try it from another angle. There's a bit of wood here. The reason the wood's here is I don't want to damage that seal. There we go. So I don't know why that was such a pain in the ass. All those bolts are the same size, luckily. I mean, I've got tons of these now, so I don't have to be too careful about where I put stuff. Okay, that's the shift linkage off, so that should just pull out now. Although it'll be sealed, won't it? So, rubber mallet. Got all the original sealant around this face as well. There we go. So if you could just come out now, sir. Uh-oh, we forgot something. Been watching some guy on YouTube lately from New Zealand called Marty, and he's got a very casual voice. Sounds like he might be baked all the time. Really nice to watch. Just like strips down old tractors and stuff that have been sitting, fixes them. So this will just be threaded with a little ball on the end, look, which holds that, and then we can just remove it afterwards. Put that back in there so we know what it is. So we'll put that down there, nice and safe. I think we're ready. Just going to put a bit of tissue where that drive shaft was sat, so we don't risk getting any smegma into the diff. And we can take this top casing off. Now these are the ones that snap. The middle casing ones don't snap. I've had a couple of these snap up top, so let's see. So there's one that's going to potentially snap. Oh, look at the corrosion. There's a reason why that one didn't want to come out. It's nasty, that one. But come out, so all good. It's peculiar. There we go. Fuck. Still a bit of oil in here. Looks reasonably clean. Don't worry, we got spares. There's a box somewhere. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got spares. A few casings in the collection now as well. But now is the task, everyone's favourite task, of getting the fifth gear hub off and the fifth gear off. Which, yeah, there's quite a lot of, you can't quite see on the camera, but there's quite a lot of bits floating about, bits of gear. What I'm thinking. Now we're not using these gears anyway, so we'll have to have a look at them when they come out though. See if we can see exactly what was chewing, and we'll get an idea when we get on the magnet inside as well. We'll be able to see a bit more history about the box. But we know it's not been split before, it's got all the original sealant all around it. Everything's original in that, and apparently it was about a 90,000 mile box, but I think you buy anything from a break-in, it's usually 90,000 mile in it, so history unknown. It's definitely a 5-speed, so it's at least, you know, about 20 years old, the gearbox. But yeah, get this off now. This is just 10mm, this comes off nice and easy. That's nut, it's staked in at the top there, so undo that, get that nut off, and then we have to pull this off and pull that off, and hope we don't chip any of the teeth, because it's really fine tolerances for the gear to get under there, the puller to get under there. So, see how we get on. Well, this staked nut is challenging me a little bit. I've not been able to release the stake, damaged it instead in fact. So, I'm hoping I don't damage the threads when I take this off, but we're not using this anyway. But the problem is I don't have one of these nuts. You should really replace them when you're doing this. So we need to lock the gears in for this, which is no problem. Right, it's locked in. So let's just hope that we don't get too much damage or too much hassle from this. That came off alright. Alright, we've got a circlip to get off here as well, which the way to do it, get 2 equal length screwdrivers, but I don't have 2 equal length screwdrivers. So, well, these are roughly the same length, not quite, but roughly. Alright, now it's time to pull. So the only pressed on part of this side is this top part, and then we've got that gear there. Once we get this top part off, everything else just lifts off. You can see it's loose now actually. Well, you can't see, but trust me. I have a special cheap puller somewhere. Right, I'm going to turn the camera off for a bit, struggle, and then I'll come back to you. Well, just as I turned the camera off, I got it the next attempt. You can see the distance that it's moved now. Just the last bit to get this off and choose away. There we go. I don't know if you can quite see where I chipped that gear slightly with a puller tool. And get this bearing plate off. Now that bearing plate's off, there's quite a bit more metal floating around the box. The piece just there, just like floating around near one of the bearings. But yeah, there's quite a lot of metal floating around in here. So we'll see what we find when we get the middle casing off. See what's on the magnet, that'll be the main tell. But look, see, that's all metal there around that bore. Quite a lot of pieces of metal on this mystery scrapyard gearbox, but let's carry on, see what we find. So I'm just going to take the detent springs out, the 2 kind of circlips up here, and then the centre casing will just come off after we've done the bolts around the perimeter, and then yeah, we'll really be able to see the guts of it then. Yeah, I could probably get some proper tools to try and do this, but it just seems to work alright. I struggled with screwdrivers for a while, and I found the golden way of doing it with the pick. Okay, so the only thing stopping us from splitting this box now, there's another little circlip here. So detent springs, 6mm Allen key I think, which is of course the one that's missing from my toolbox. Hey, it's a 5mm will be alright. Where are you? 6mm. A chance to try out this new set I got just before Christmas, little chody ones. Got 3/8. Chode Masters. So there's one. Tilt this to me. Oop, there's one. There we go. So that was what we just removed there. Little spring, little ball. Detent springs for the shifter makes the shifter, you know, the cha-cha of the shifter, chi-chang, whatever you want to call it, makes the shifter kind of fire back on these rods, look. See, that's got like a big recess there. That's kind of what they run in on. Now whilst we're here, we may as well take off the reverse. Reverse gear has a little bolt in, just to kind of locate it. Oh, there you are. Take that out. I tend to put everything just in the top casing, look. Keep it nice and neat. Ignore the parking sins, it's quite heavy. So now we are ready to split the middle casing. There's 3 bolts on the inside as well. Oops. This pool of oil is getting a little bit large. Bollocks. Yeah, the magnet's not even that bad. Might be a load of fuss about nothing, that. That's just normal, really. Well, it's definitely a LSD. That's a good start. Just going to clean the magnet off. And then hopefully just drop my gears in. I've got a bit of gearbox oil floating around, but at least the bench won't rust for a while. It's looking a bit cleaner. Doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, things look a lot better in here than what I thought they were going to look. All the synchros and everything look alright. So what we need to do next is get the diff out, switch the final drives on the diff, and put the gears on which are in the bag. There's the final driver on the end of the diff there. So we'll get these gears out first. Should just all pull out now. With a little bit of persuasion. You can just lift reverse up and out of the way. Reverse looks like it's got some bit of chewing on it, but nothing terrible. And this should just lift out. I've ended up having to take all the selector forks off, which I really didn't want to do. And then it's still really stiff in there. And I've never experienced this before. So I don't know what's holding it in. It doesn't want to wiggle out. Ah, fuck. Right, no idea what was holding that in. So there's a shaft, look. The input shaft looks pretty good. This bottom one here is 3rd gear. That top one there's 4th gear. So, input shaft, output shaft. Output shaft 2 is looking a bit, just on the synchros, they're looking a bit worn down, but seen worse. We're not using this anyway, it's just the bearings that we want. We'll just put them there for now, because the first job that we need to do, or that I need to do, is get this LSD out. And this is the reason why I had to get a completely new gearbox again, was just these bearings here. Right, got a bit of a messy job now, just to put that new crown wheel on. These have mated in the bag. There we go. So we're going from a 3.9 final drive to a 4.3 final drive. It's quite a decent difference. So this is bolt this onto the diff. So I'm going to do that off camera a sec, because I need to look up what the torque specs are and dig out some thread sealer as well. Get that assembled, and then I'll join you in hopefully only around half an hour or so, and we'll put the box back together. Yeah. Just getting to the end of the final drive swap now. Just torquing up the bolts. That was a bit of a pain in the arse to do. I don't have a way of warming up the ring gear either, other than the torch. I didn't really want to get it that hot, but you know, you can figure it out how to get the ring gear on. If you try and get it in the right position and just pull it on with the bolts, you know, being very careful whilst you're doing that. 76 foot-pounds these apparently. We've got a bit of thread locker on there as well. And tried to clean the gearbox oil off the threads, you know, clean the bolts up a little bit, but trying not to get any brake cleaner in here. Not that it'll particularly damage it so much, I just would rather this stayed oiled. There's just little helical gears of the LSD, look. But yeah, everything's going alright. So when this is done, put the diff back in, and we'll put JDM shafts in, which are sitting in here, and then we'll build the rest of it just from what we can. Everything else, the shift forks and everything, is exactly the same between the Japanese and the UK model. It's just the gears themselves that are different. So yeah, cooking with gas. Right, LSD's back in. Just going to get the gears in now. So, a couple of options here. We can either strip down the linkage, like we had to do when we took the UK gears out, or we can try and put it on in a wanner, which is plan A. So, if I can just rotate this a little bit. Now the gearbox oil problem's not got any better. It's going downstream now, so just chuck a bit of this down to protect myself. So what I'm going to try and do is get the gears out like this, get the linkage over them like that, and then drop that in first. Magic. So as easy as that just went in, should have been as easy. I'm going to take it out, no point. But that's how easily it should have happened when I was struggling stripping the box down. But yeah, that's his gears in. We've got bearings. I left the bearings on there, so they're still good. I think we still need to put the needle bearings back on there, they're missing. But everything else is good to go. Now for all the bolts and stuff, I do have the Toyota manual printed off, which should give us some secrets. That's what we're doing now, look. And the torque spec, 17 Newton meters. I just got this off of Google, if you're wondering where I got it from. Nice and simple. I was a bit stuck for some reason. Just checking the gears before we get too far into this. This one feels a bit stiff. First and second I can easily manoeuvre, but this third just can't really get it to budge. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with this third gear. Well, I found a problem, so a bit silly of me, didn't realise, but now obviously do realise this is a bit stupid. So the problem was, that fork was turned all the way around and must have been stuck in the gears, which is what was stopping the gears from being able to come back down to go into third gear. So there's enough room for it to go up into fourth, but not third. But yeah, that should definitely be pointing that way. I should have realised there was only two of them there, but yeah, I didn't. Well, you can tell from the pile of mess that we're nearly finished. Now the battery's gone on the big old camera. So I'm just going to do a bit of handballing, but I'm pretty much there. Now somewhere in this pile of mess is a needle bearing for here. Can't find it. There'll be one in the spares somewhere, no doubt, but need to find that. Goes on there. I just need to put the dowel pin stuff back in for the linkage. But yeah, the case went on fine, no problems. bearing and snap rings and everything went on, no problems, everything's good. I'm not going to completely seal the box today because I'm going to get a new one of them nuts, you know, the nut that we took off at the start. I had a memory, and those of you who watched my other teardown video will know that that nut actually came loose on one of my gearboxes, which may or may not have been related to the failure that I had, so let's not take any chances on that. We'll get a new nut from Toyota. And yeah, what else am I going to get? Oh, I need to get some new flywheel bolts as well if I want to put the motor back in. But yeah, just going to do this, tidy up, and then we're done. So yeah, from scrapyard to race car, that's it. Nearly anyway. Just need to find that needle bearing and then we're cooking. Alright, we're all back together, so another successful one, maybe. One thing to note, when I was putting this circlip back on there, I remembered something, and that was that when I took one of the ones off down the bottom, I bashed it off, and I don't know where it went, and I was supposed to check the bottom casing for it, so I didn't do that. I did empty the bottom casing out of oil and give it a wipe down, so I'm sure if it was in there I would have found it, but yeah, not a nice thing to remember when you know, you're right at the end of the build. So all I need to do now is get a new nut for there, and then from Toyota, or you know, it's just a nut in it and get it from anywhere, but I'll try and get a Toyota one first probably, and then just bolt that back down and seal it, and we're good to go. I've not tested the gears yet, let's do it together. I think that's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. Yeah, looks good. If you don't know how gearboxes work, best thing to do is take one apart, and then you get a real good feel for it. Hard to explain that, but pretty cool things, aren't they? So anyway, that's scrapyard to racetrack anyway, just about. I'll end the video there though, have a little bit of tidy up, but yeah, she'll rip. Hopefully there's no circlips floating around in the bottom of the casing, but you know what, fuck it, if there is, there is. I don't think there is, because I emptied it bottom, but I was meant to check. Hopefully when I do my little tidy up in a second, got a bit of bits floating about, I'll do my tidy up in a second and I'll find it, hopefully. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching my gearbox journey part 69, and I'll see you in another video, chaps. Take care, goodbye, night moves.